Real Estate Mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a market update and Q&A mix. So make sure you bring your questions. We're going to address the questions as they come in, and we're going to do a market update to carry us through kind of like the Thanksgiving time period. So I just want to touch on a couple of things that are going on in the market, what you guys need to be thinking about, some of the opportunities that are going to exist for us as we move forward into 2024, which is going to be a different market, but more or less the same. A lot of good buy and hold opportunities. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. Don't want to miss out on that free offer. If you want to tap into some of the free trainings, click the links in the description. Tap into those free training links that are there. If you want to learn also about the Boots on the Ground program, where we build houses for you in the Philadelphia market, we're also expanding a little bit into kind of the Delaware and New Jersey markets as well. So if you want to tap into that Boots on the Ground program, make sure you reach out as well. And let's kind of get into this thing. In terms of mindset, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the three things that I keep hearing. These are the things that hold back, I would say, 90%, maybe 99, maybe 99% of new investors. But there's only really three things that I keep hearing. One is cash and credit. I don't have enough cash to get started. I don't have enough credit to get started. Maybe there was a overcharge on credit cards and you just ran under, or there's a bankruptcy. There's all different types of situations, divorce situations that can wreck your credit. Health issues can wreck your credit. And then the cash issues. A lot of people who are just getting started, you're stuck in that 9 to 5 and you don't have the cash yet. You don't have $20,000, $30,000 saved to put into a deal and to park into real estate. And the solution to that, a lot of us will just look at it and have that mindset of, well, I don't have the cash and I'm just done here. Like, I can't get into the game. The solution is creative financing. There are solutions to a lot of these problems. That's the number one problem I hear. Solutions, creative financing, learning how to invest without cash and credit. And it takes a lot of initiative. It does take work. It is not easy. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes focus. But if you put the time in, if you're willing to learn the process of how to invest without cash and credit, you can get deals done. You can go out and make it happen, especially in today's market, because there's a lot of pain in this market. There are a lot of foreclosures. There are a lot of people who are inheriting properties every day. There's 2 million foreclosures every year. There are a lot of deals that you can get your hands on. There are burnout landlords. You can get apartment buildings with creative financing. You can do structure, we'll call it land deals with creative financing. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So don't sit on the sidelines because you have that issue. Seek out the solution. Stay solution oriented. Don't just fall back to, oh, well, I'm just going to stack up money and wait, or I'm going to try to wait this market out, because you're going to miss out on some of the opportunities that we're going to talk about later today. The second issue is really just knowledge. It's really fear. Not having the knowledge, not having the fundamentals, not knowing how to evaluate deals, not knowing how to crank your numbers. That holds back maybe another large percentage of people. So even the people who have a little bit of cash or have good credit, they're just afraid. And there's a lot of information out there. I get that. It's why I try to put out a lot of the right info and some of the info that you guys aren't hearing enough of, because you need to hear multiple angles of what's going on out in this market. You don't just want to listen to some of the negative news that's out there. You want to listen to more of the balanced perspective of the real estate market, which is what I'm trying to give you guys, because there's always one door closing, one door opening. So with more knowledge and less fear, more experience, that's why we do things like the ride along, which I'll be having a ride along at the top of the new year. And those tickets are already kind of running out. So if you want to get in on the ride along, make sure you reach out like ASAP. But with that knowledge, you're going to get rid of that fear. You're going to replace fear with knowledge, with experience from things like ride alongs, and you're going to be able to get ahead. and that's going to put you in a better position. And the third issue is you just can't find deals. A lot of people can't find good deals. They don't know where to look. They don't know how to do their analysis. They're not sure if they're all on market, off market. Getting into a mentorship program where you can learn more about deal analysis will just help you to get over that. You have to get into deal abundance. That's really the solution there, is getting into multiple streams of deals: on market, off market, auction, land, creative financing, just getting in front of a lot of deals, a high volume of deals, and doing more deal analysis to the point where you get faster than the competition. So getting good deals is not about having a special source. It's about going to all sources and then getting faster in your analysis. Once you get faster, you can beat out the competition and start to accelerate yourself. So those are the three issues, the three things that I keep hearing about over and over again. And those are the solutions to those three things. So if you've been struggling with those things, just understand there are solutions out there. You're not stuck. You don't have to just kind of stay in that mode where you don't know what to do. You can get some deals done. You just have to get yourself up off the sideline and up and running. Guys, if you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe, and tap into that free training. We want to get you guys access to that free training that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. Let me get us tapped in here. I'm just pulling up some more articles for us. If you have questions, drop them in the chat section, drop them in the comment section as we're flowing through. Can be on topic, off topic, anything real estate related. Let's jump into some articles that I wanted to touch on, and we'll flow. I'm going to try to keep this one a little shorter unless you guys have a ton of questions, but we'll just kind of flow through this thing. This is important. HUD has been releasing new aid for low-income families to keep up with rising rents. So there's two things that are important here. One is that rents are increasing. They're not increasing everywhere. They're increasing, from what I've been seeing, more on the Northeast, in that Northeast corridor. So places like Chicago, which some people will consider Midwest, I still consider it along the lines of like the Northeast kind of row home type of cities. But Chicago, Ohio, definitely Philly, New Jersey, Delaware, parts of New York, like upstate New York, we're seeing the rents are really increasing. You're seeing rents decrease in some pockets. So you might see rents decrease in the West Coast markets, or in markets like Texas, like Austin, Houston. And some of these markets are decreasing. People have been talking about it for a while. Some of the analysts, people have been talking about this for a while, but there's been a lot of overbuilding in places like Houston or Austin. There was a lot of overbuilding, like oversupply of commercial apartment buildings. And there were just so many units being delivered year over year over year that the anticipation was at some point there's just going to be an oversupply and these units are going to sit vacant. Then you have kind of some of these Airbnb bans, which we'll talk about, that have kind of forced the hand there and kind of forced additional vacancy, because now those properties that were supposed to be Airbnb are now being pushed back onto the market. So it's creating more oversupply, and people aren't staying in these Texas markets. They're kind of moving out. The jobs that were promised, even though they were there, some of them have kind of got up and like left essentially. So when that happens, you can get an oversupply of inventory on the rental side, and rents can decrease. Rents are also decreasing, like I said, in LA, all these West Coast markets, Phoenix, Arizona, Vegas, a lot of these markets, even though they can be good buy and hold markets, in my opinion, the rents have been decreasing compared to the East Coast. But in any event, HUD has been releasing more aid. And this is a reason to stay tapped in and tuned into the affordable housing space, Section 8, or just voucher housing in general. So it doesn't have to be pure Section 8, even though HUD is kind of funding them, but a lot of these government-based, voucher-based programs. So this would also count for like veteran housing. There are other areas like if you go to Delaware in particular, if anybody who's looked into that market, they have about 8 voucher-based programs. There's something called like Family Promise. There are programs for special needs adults. So they have like all these different voucher-based programs to tap into, even outside of Section 8. So even if you have a thing where you're like, I'm not doing Section 8, I don't want to touch that, there are other programs that you can tap into that may be good for you. So you want to keep your eye out for those. But when you see stuff like this, let's talk about some of the money that is flowing into these programs. So HUD, they released an extra 113 million into the Housing Choice Voucher Program, into these funds. And that went to 36 states. So that definitely hit Philly, because Philly's rents jumped 30 to 60%. It hit a lot of markets in the Northeast. It may have hit a market that you're in. You have to do the research and stay on top of these things. But they said that helped about 9,500 additional households. So the people who are sitting on the sidelines on Section 8 trying to get approved, that was money that allowed them to get their vouchers approved and put them in the market. So now you're in a market, if you are accepting Section 8, where there's increased demand because there are more people running around with vouchers, and they can afford a lot more in terms of the rent, because they're allowing these vouchers to have like a higher price tag on them, essentially. It says the national average rent increased by about 5.5% last year. That's nationally. Some markets are up 30%, like I said. I think they said that New York's statewide increase was about 8%, while a dozen cities across the country had rent increases of over 20% from May of 2020 to May of this year. So hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to blow it up a little bit. I mean, that's substantial. You're talking about 20% rent increases in a year. And this is why I've been saying, you know, you don't want to wait to buy the real estate. You want to buy it and wait, because the market is constantly ebbing and flowing. If you bought a property, and we have people like this in our Boots on the Ground program who bought properties at certain rent projections, and then the rents went up 30%, or they went up 20%, or they went up whatever they went up, and then that projection just looks better, because that 20% increase is essentially just all cash flow, just goes all into your pocket once you lock it in, once you grab a hold of that income. So this is something to just keep top of mind. Let me touch on a few comments, and I'll get back into this. Guys, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat section and we'll just keep flowing. V says, FYI to everyone, I'm a realtor in New Jersey and PA. A lot of sellers right now are entertaining seller financing, especially on properties sitting on the market 30 plus days. Shoot your shot out here. And that's exactly what it's about. Like, people will ask me, like, all right, so how do I do this creative financing thing or seller financing thing? You just have to ask the question. That really is what it is. You just have to be bold. One, you want to learn. So if you don't know what creative financing is, or how to structure it, or what the contracts look like, or how to fill out the contracts like a subject to contract, you do want to tap into some type of program where you can get educated, because you only get to shoot your shot. Like V is saying, shoot your shot, but you only get one shot at a first impression. So you want to make sure when you're approaching a deal that is solid, that you are in a position where you know enough to be confident and be able to educate the seller. Because the seller, most people only sell their properties once or twice in their life. Most people aren't in this game as an investor, so they're not dealing with 50, 60 buyers and sellers a year and dealing with all these deals. Like, I've done over 300 deals, right? So I've talked to so many sellers to get those 300 deals. Most people aren't doing that. So you need to be able to come to somebody who, like, if you don't know creative financing and you're an investor, by the time you learn it, you need to be able to now face a seller who is non-sophisticated and come to them and say, look, here's how it works. This is why it's good for you. Here's how it's good for me. This is a win-win deal. Here's how we're going to get through this. And you have to be able to educate them. That's really all it is. It's not selling. It's more telling. It's more education based in terms of like a process, we'll call it. So once you educate them and you're like, okay, so it's going to work like this. We're going to do X, Y, Z. This is how it's going to protect you. Here's how it's going to protect me. This is how we're going to win. Now you're on the same side of the table as the seller, and you can get these deals done. But there is no magic fountain of creative financing deals. They're actually right in front of you. But you have to uncover them. You have to turn over the stone of creative financing. You have to say, hey, I know this deal has been sitting on the market for a while. If I can get you the price that you're looking for, could I have the terms? And they're like, well, what does that mean? What are the terms? Okay, let's talk about it. Because they're open to it because they just want their price. So you have to show them what terms are necessary to get them the price that they're looking for. And you start to uncover creative financing deals. This is why creative financing is so powerful, because there's very little competition out there. There's almost, I'll argue, no competition. I'll say no competition for creative financing specialists, people who want to take that Pepsi challenge and learn this stuff. And guys, this is no cash, no credit real estate investing. There's no competition because most people think it's a lie. Most people think, oh, there's no way to invest in real estate without cash or credit. That has to be clickbait. That has to be XYZ. It's nonsense. It's real. It just is over your head because the level that you're at right now in terms of knowledge, you don't have enough knowledge or fundamentals to be able to understand some of these concepts on the fly. Now, within the construct of mentorship, or somebody really breaking it down, like the way we break it down in our creative financing section of the 100 Keys Masterclass, we're breaking it down at a grassroots level. So we're really building you up from the bottom, showing you how closings work, showing you behind the scenes how deeds transfer from a buyer to a seller, and the chain of title, and all of these different things that you need to know to now add that wrinkle of creative financing on top of it. And when you do that, you're going to shock yourself. Most people are very shocked at how easy it is to do this. And like I said, I'm going to be dropping a new training on how to do this for apartment buildings, because there are burnout landlords out there who are looking for creative financing solutions. And they might be sitting on a 10-unit building. And here you come without cash or credit, but you have a concept and you have a strategy and you have some know-how, and you can structure a deal. You can structure a win-win deal. So take it from V. She's out there making this happen, talking to people, so she knows. We have other people in the 100 Keys Masterclass and the mentorship program who are doing creative financing deals. And the only difference that I found between the people who are getting the creative financing deals and the people who aren't is that they're just going out and taking the initiative. That's literally it. All they're doing is listening and saying, okay, Brian said all I got to do is ask and learn this information. So they learn the information and they ask the questions. That's the only difference. They ask the questions and they get the result. And some people are too afraid to ask. And I get it. I'm probably, and I'll open this up for anybody, in the masterclass, and I've done this with some of our people. I'm going to potentially, if enough people request it or want it, do a cold call training. Like, because I started off my career cold calling. It's not scary to me. It was, but it's not scary to me anymore. But I'm going to put together a training on cold calling. But for some of our people, we'll take our one-on-one sessions that we do, and we'll just role play some of these creative financing sale calls, where it's like, hey, I'll be the seller, you be the buyer, and then I'll be the buyer. I'll be the seller, you be the buyer, and we'll kind of flip it. And doing that role playing will get the jitters out. Especially some people are kind of intimidated by, I guess, how much knowledge I'll have about the subject. So doing that will get the jitters out. It'll put you in a position where, now you can go out and get some deals done. He said people get hurt with a no. Yeah. The worst thing that can happen on a phone call, somebody hangs up on you or something, or says, F you, or say, like, nobody's going to do anything. Right. And as soon as you make enough phone calls to learn that, you'll be better off. If you're that afraid of the phone, you can always hire some type of assistant, a VA, which I've done VA trainings on this channel. We have access to virtual assistants if anybody needs them. And you can have them do some of the pre-calls and some of the pre-work. And then you can double back to the people who are interested, who have been pre-screened, and kind of go from there. So look, creative financing is there. Investing without cash or credit is there, but you have to step up and learn the knowledge and go for it. But there is no competition. There's nobody who's going to block you from getting deals or jump in and steal your deal or anything like that. All you have to do is get it done. D said, let me know when you will have that training on creative financing. We already have it. It's in the 100 Keys Masterclass. So you just have to tap into it. Creative Financing 101 parts 1, 2, and 3. And then we have breakout sessions on subject 2. We have a lot going on. V said, it's real. I have 2 in play countering with me. Yeah, you're going back and forth. And they're only countering with you because there's nobody else out there. Like, if they don't do your deal, they ain't going to get a deal. Hopefully we meet in the middle and I get both, definitely. The celebration will be televised. Yeah, definitely. If you're closing this deal, especially your first creative financing deal, get footage of it. Definitely document it. This is stuff that, and you guys should all document your journeys, because this is stuff that people are going to want to see later down the line when you're having more success or you have 100 deals. The first deal, the early deals are the most special deals to you. They're the deals you're going to want to keep forever, and that you'll show off. Like, those stories are going to be more powerful for you than anything that you're doing. Mike Morgan said, hey, 24/7 family, if you're serious about getting into rehabs, Brian Grimes is the real deal. Definitely. I mean, definitely not just creative financing and investment without cash and credit and just getting your knowledge up. But I've done over 300 gut renovations. I'm passing off contractors to you guys. I'm getting you guys connected with hard money loans and construction loans and showing you how to build houses. I'm giving you guys ride-alongs where we can, go look at properties together and do that thing. So definitely, if you're being held back because, and I was just talking to 3 sisters today who are getting into this game, and they just weren't looking at any deals. They're like, we weren't looking at any deals that needed heavy renovation because we don't know anything about that game. And I'm like, well, I got you guys covered. I'm sending them, because they're from Jersey, I'm sending them some contractors so that they can get started and showing them the game and starting to build up their education on the construction side. And what that's going to do is unlock their deal flow. That's going to allow them to see, I would say, 50 to 60% more deals than they were entertaining before. Now that creates abundance. And now they can cherry pick some of the best deals that have the highest profit margins. The highest profit margins are always going to be on the value add side of real estate. So that's why we structured 100 Keys Masterclass in this way and teach you guys all of these different disciplines, because you never know. You could be like V out here structuring creative financing deals, and then she'll get a couple of those deals under her belt, and then she'll be doing rehabs and then maybe a ground up deal or acquiring an apartment, full gut renovating it, adding more bedrooms. You have to be versatile in this game. Once you learn, like, the more you learn, the more you will make. The more you learn, the more you will make. That's the simplest way to put it. Deb says, I totally agree. And that's always good. Appreciate that, Deb. But yeah, we have creative financing trainings. I'll, like I said, if you guys want to do like some type of cold call training, we can do that. And that might be helpful for you guys to just see that back and forth, how these calls will typically go and how to pitch, and just try to get the jitters out. Role playing is the easiest way to get the jitters out. Scripting yourself and then going back and forth with somebody who is going to pretend to be a seller, an agitated seller, a happy seller, a disgruntled seller, a confused seller, whatever it is. And you just be, hey, I'm just trying to get this deal. I'm trying to get to the appointment. I'm trying to get to the next level. And the more you do that, the better off you will be. Here's another question. Why would you want to keep existing tenants versus a vacant property? Or do you always ask for the property to be vacant? These days, I always ask for my properties to be vacant. It's a good question. I don't take over existing tenants because I like to underwrite my tenants on multiple levels. So one level of underwriting is always the financial, and that is like checking their credit score, which by the way, I care very little about this level. This is the level most people underwrite at, which is just financial. I care very little about the financial. I don't even care about the credit that much. You could have a 550 and I'm like, I like them. So I'll do that. Credit score, definitely checking eviction. That's important. And then there's levels to the eviction. The levels are, one, have you been evicted? How recent was it when that eviction was filed? Did you leave voluntarily? So I can go through not only an eviction report that says that you've been evicted, but then I'll go the extra mile to actually look at the court docket, because a lot of this stuff is free. You can just go on and Google it and find the court docket. Now I will dig in and I will see the entire chain of the court docket. So I can see if you were served and just moved out voluntarily, how much money you owed, how many months late you were when this eviction was filed. Some people, like I saw one person, she was only filed on, she was late every month, but she only owed 1 month, and they filed the eviction on her. And I was like, well, that's not really that bad. Like, okay, she didn't pay the $25 late fees, but she's on Section 8. So they basically evicted her for not paying late fees. And to me, that was kind of more of a spiteful move on their part. So you can see things like that and then say, oh, well, she has an eviction, but she was still paying. Like, it's not like she owed many months. Or you can see if somebody's a professional tenant and they're filing appeals and different motions to try to delay the case and stay longer. Now you see, oh, they're a professional tenant. I'm not going to deal with them. So I'll do the underwriting at that level. Then I do attitude underwriting, which is, let's see how they text. Let's see how they talk. Let's see how they deal with things. They might show up to the appointment. We might show up 10 minutes late. I might just let my people, you showed up 15 minutes late. Good. How were they? Oh, they had a bad attitude. Not that that can't be annoying, right? But if they have a horrible attitude for something small, somebody was 5 minutes late, imagine how they're going to be when the sink breaks or there's a roof leak and there are issues coordinating. They're going to be difficult to deal with. That's what they're showing you. So I underwrite at that level. And then there's other levels to underwrite at. So I like to underwrite my tenants, as you guys can see, at multiple levels. So when I'm taking over an existing property, back to the question, I don't know who did that underwriting and if they did a good job. Most of the time they didn't, because as you can tell, the level that I'm underwriting at, almost nobody is. Most people are just doing the financials and saying, okay, but that's not good enough for me. So I don't take the tenants for that reason. Also, I like to value add the property. So I like to get into that property and do some type of rehab that's going to force appreciation, and or do a rehab that's going to solve out a lot of the maintenance request issues so that I don't have a lot of back and forth when I get these people in. Like, I got a couple of co-living properties right now. We haven't had any phone calls in 2 months, 3 months from co-living. So a lot of people will ask that question, Brian, isn't co-living a nightmare to deal with? All those tenants, I haven't gotten any phone calls. Guys, a duplex, co-living duplex, 6 beds, 6 baths, no calls, no calls, no drama. Everybody's paying the rent. That's the answer. So if you do it the right way, if you underwrite the right way, you take your time. You might not move as fast as you want to. You might not tenant as fast as you want to. But if you do it the right way, you're going to collect money and you're not going to have headaches. If you try to go fast and cut corners or deal with existing tenants, you're going to get headaches and you're not going to make money. And then you're going to burn out. And that's what happens to, to most of the people out there. So I always go vacant. I always go vacant because I got to do it my way. Yes, the cold call is definitely needed too. Yeah, we may do a cold call training. We may do a cold call training to kind of get you guys locked in mentally on how these calls go. It's not that scary, guys. It's not that scary, guys. It really isn't. You just need experience. All of this stuff is scary in your head, and you think about what could go wrong, or somebody's going to bang on you on the phone or curse you out, whatever, the house is going to fall down, the construction is not going to go right. With the right knowledge and the right systems, you could just execute on this stuff. You don't have to sit around scared of it. Don't be scared of the real estate. There are people less capable than you, not as smart as you, with less money than you, that are doing this right now because they are more ambitious than you or more fearless than you. That's the only two things. Some people are more ambitious than you, or they're more fearless, or they're afraid of mediocrity, more afraid of mediocrity than you. That's it. So you'll sit there and watch them and think that they're like doing something special or have some type of secret. There's no secret. They're afraid to stay the same. They're afraid to stay stuck in the 9 to 5, and you're not afraid enough yet. You still view it as safe. They view it as dangerous, and they'd rather take their shot out here, even if they blow it. They'll take their shot, blow it, come back. But this knowledge, like, if everybody listening to this just acquired the knowledge of how to invest in real estate without cash or credit and really started implementing it, even if you didn't have success immediately, if you just kept going and just got one deal done, boom, you're going to springboard over the course of your career into 50 to 100 deals, creative financing, because you can just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And there's always creative financing opportunities. And then you can scale it into multifamily and commercial deals, because it doesn't stop at this level, at the residential level. So just keep going. Jordan, what do you think about a total gut rehab property with a mini mart on the first floor, paying $1,200 month to month? It's not bad. It's like a mixed use building. It's not bad. I mean, I think the scariest part, and I'm going to talk about the financing next. The scariest part about the mixed use is, what am I going to do with that commercial first floor, and how much money is it going to generate? Now, if you're taking it over with an existing tenant on a commercial, I'll keep the existing tenant commercially, because that's a different situation. The mini mart is actually a highly profitable business, because the markups on most of those products are in the 200 to 300% range. I learned this from a buddy of mine who used to invest in gas stations. And I was like, how do you make money on the gas stations? Off the gas, right? And he's like, bro, there's like no markup on the gas. The gas is like nothing. It's all on the convenience store, because the markups inside the store are like 200, 300 to 500%, somewhere 1,000% markups. So he's like, if you get everybody who comes in to get gas to get out that car and go in and buy something, that's where you're making all your money. It's just like a guaranteed flow of people to come into your convenience store. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So the mini mart, once it's there and established within the community, there's a lot of foot traffic. I got a mini mart at the corner of my house. I mean, I was just watching how many people, because I walk my son to school every morning, how many people are like regulars just popping in and out at the time that I'm there. And then if I'm walking around, like, I'm a New Yorker at this point, so we walk everywhere. So I'm watching the people, and I'm like, just counting essentially the money coming in and out. And I'm like, man, I think they're doing about 40,000 a month in that place. And it's just a little hole in the wall, but they're moving volume, and the people keep coming back because that's where they go. It becomes part of their routine. So if that place is established, that $1,200 a month is very stable. Now, from a financing standpoint, even if, like, you guys know, a duplex is 2 units, a triplex is 3 units. Well, hypothetically, if you had 2 apartments above this convenience store and just the convenience store on the first floor, that would be a triplex, right? 3 units, 1 on the first floor commercial, and then 2 above. But it's a commercial building. Now, commercial buildings are usually 5 units or more. But now you have a mixed use commercial, because you have the first floor is a commercial use from a zoning standpoint, because it's being used commercially as a mini mart. The whole building is considered a commercial mixed use building, which means you need specialty financing. So even a lot of the lenders who will lend on rental properties are not going to lend on that. because of the commercial aspect. So now you have to deal with a commercial level lender, which will be like a credit union. Most of your credit unions will have a commercial product for that, and they'll lend there. So it's not the end of the world. You can get it done, but just understand the hard money piece and some of the aspects of the deal could be more difficult because a lot of these lenders are very focused on residential, not commercial. Even if it's small commercial, even if it's just one unit above a convenience store, they view that convenience store as riskier because they don't know how to underwrite it. They don't know how to wrap their brain around it and value, like, well, is 1,200 a good rent for a convenience store? I don't know. Like, they don't know. And it's harder to do that underwriting than to say, oh, well, Section 8 pays $1,500 a month for a 3-bed. That's very easy to go pull up the data and see. But it's a bit more difficult to know what a commercial value would be for that. What if that was a barber shop or a salon? Would that be $1,200 a month or would that be $1,500? What's market? How do you know that the tenant can continue to pay? Is there high enough volume and demand for this commercial corridor within this community? Is this a C-class neighborhood, B class? There's a lot of questions, But this sounds good. If you can keep that tenant, usually these commercial leases are longer, like 5 to 10 year leases with guaranteed rights to renew and guaranteed increases. So if you have them on you need to review that lease, but if they're on a longer lease, that could be good. It could be a nice play. So definitely, it sounds like you could have a winner there. Send me information on it if you want me to look at the numbers. Just shoot me an email, and let me take a look at the numbers, and I'll give you my 2 cents. But I think it sounds good, man. Oh, said off topic, LLCs, foreign business forms, foreign registration for multiple states. How and where to start the process? It's a good question. You could actually do a lot of that with a title company. Title companies are good at that because they deal in it, right? Title companies are good for a lot of things. I don't talk about this at all. It's kind of weird. But title companies, I have title companies in Baltimore where I could call them and say, hey, I need you to set up an LLC for this closing, okay? And they're like, yeah, no problem. We'll just tag on another $200 on the closing. And I'm like, cool. Just make up whatever name, I don't care. And they'll just create the LLC for the closing. All the docs, format, everything. Because they deal in that a lot. And they have, like a title company is part legal business. It's like part law firm almost. They have notaries. They have, usually they'll have somebody who had a law license at some point, and they're like part legal. So they can deal in that. But they're also dealing with these foreign registration forms. For those who don't know what a foreign registration form is, it's if you opened up a business in Wyoming and you wanted to buy a property in Pennsylvania, you would need to file a foreign registration form with the state of Pennsylvania, registering this foreign entity because it's a Wyoming LLC. So it's a foreign entity that needs to be registered and domesticated in Pennsylvania so that it can be tracked and pay its taxes to the state as it's making money within the state, if necessary and if applicable. And then there's different types of businesses that make different types of revenues or might be within the inventory space, and there's different ways to tax. So when you're doing business in multiple states through one LLC, you will do one of 2 things. You will either take that foreign entity and register it and domesticate it, or you will open a local entity. The domestication process might take 30 days. And this is part of the headache, is you might be trying to do a closing fast, and then they're telling you the registration is going to take long. And you're like, I need to move faster. So, and this is why O is trying to get ahead of the process. Or you could open the LLCs domestically. So open the LLC in Pennsylvania. And the reason you have your Wyoming LLC is because you want maybe privacy laws, or they have better protections for single member entities. There's a variety of reasons why you would do that. Have the Wyoming LLC own the Pennsylvania LLC. The Pennsylvania LLC can own the properties that are within Pennsylvania. So now you're giving yourself dual liability protection and a lot of distance from that property, because if somebody sues the Pennsylvania entity, they're going to be like, well, who owns this? Does O own this property? And it's like, nope, some other entity owns this property. Well, who owns that? I don't know, because they're not giving up the name in Wyoming, pretty much. So now you have some dual distance, and you've eliminated your issue of needing to do the foreign registration. The only issue there now is that you have multiple LLCs, so multiple renewal fees and annual fees that are associated with these LLCs. I could talk about these LLCs and structuring kind of all day, as you guys can see. And I want to get into some more advanced stuff at some point. I'm just not sure if everybody's ready for it. And I'll see how much demand is out there for it. But there are ways to open up offshore LLCs in countries that don't don't abide by, I guess, U.S. jurisdiction. So even if somebody sued you and a judge issued a judgment, they couldn't take that judgment to your LLC and say, I want this enforced, unless they spent like $150,000 to hire attorneys and go offshore, and they got to fly out physically, and they got to go out to like the Cook Islands. Like, it's crazy. So there's levels to this game that people play at, and this is the level that the millionaires play at. This is the level the millionaires play at. They go offshore. They have bank accounts that are outside of the country that you can't garnish, that you can't get to the money, no matter what. And that's the level they play at. And I have this knowledge. I've established some of these types of entities and dealt with this stuff as well. And it's a lot of game. Like, it's serious business. And a lot of you will benefit from having that level of knowledge. It may be something that I just add to the 100 Keys Masterclass. I'm not sure if it's going to be as valuable for a mastermind call. I mean, it probably would be. But that level of knowledge, we may just park it in the 100 Keys Masterclass for all the paid people. So that was a great question, because I was considering letting them stay. I did ask for deposit statements, lease, and licenses. Yeah, if you were thinking about letting the tenants stay, like, be careful with that. That's one of my like no-nos, because you typically, when you deal with existing tenants, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to lose money. You're going to wish you hadn't. There are some tenants that are decent. Like, I had one tenant on my first deal that I kept. I tried to keep both of them because I was scared. And this is why you guys are thinking about keeping the tenants, because you're scared. And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have that fear, because it's new. But you're afraid of your own ability to underwrite and get tenants and understand everything. So you keep them. You keep the tenants. One of them was so afraid of me. She was afraid of new ownership that she moved out. And then when she met me, she was like, man, I didn't know you were going to be the landlord. I would have stayed. And I was like, yeah, you should have stayed. I wanted you to stay. But I ended up tenanting that unit in like 2 weeks anyway. The tenant who stayed for 4.5 years. She paid late every month, but she paid the $100 late fee every month. It was crazy. I was like, man, she's actually one of my favorite tenants, because she's late every month, and I'm just getting an extra $100 like every month, like clockwork. On the 15th of the month, she's late on the 1st. By the 15th to the 20th, she had all the money plus the $100, and I'm like, why don't you just pay on time? But she just kept paying religiously late with the $100. So it became one of my funniest like wrinkles of like, well, the most profitable tenants are actually the ones that pay late. They're not even the ones that pay on time. They're the ones that pay you late. They're the most profitable. So, but yeah, I had problems with her. She was definitely a bit of a challenge, is what I'll say. She was a bit of a challenge, and I had trouble, and I probably would have been better off to just kind of put her out or have her move out, or pull all the tenants out and just refresh the whole building anyway, because it wasn't that difficult to tenant. It really wasn't. A couple weeks. And if I had re-tenanted, I would have got more money because I would have got first, last, and security. So I would have got a lot of more money. Here we go. Can you talk about taking existing tenants if your manager is already managing that property? Can you talk about property management bringing you deals? What do you look out for? When you say what do you look out for, do you mean like am I looking out for something that the property manager is trying to do to burn me? If the property manager is managing it, it's a little different because it's more their headache. Like they're the one that's going to answer the phone and deal with it. So you can lean on their experience. Like I have a property management company in Baltimore, and they also do evictions. So I actually met them through an eviction. Like I was evicting one tenant who was very difficult, and they got him out. And that is the confidence that you're looking for from a property management company. It's not their ability to answer the phone, it rings, and fix the toilet. It's can they get out a non-paying, stubborn person? If they can do that, they're worth their weight in gold, because that takes all the fear out of real estate on the buy and hold side. If they can just get people out. One thing you do want to look out for from property management companies, and I talk about this in a 100 Keys Masterclass, is them trying to milk you for fees. So there are some fees that can't be avoided. Like when a tenant first moves into a property, there's going to be things wrong, because especially on a renovation. I learned this early on in the game. But you think like, oh, with a new renovated property, there should be nothing wrong, right? Somebody just moved right in, there's nothing wrong. But as you rehab a house, the house settles. So it's like you put down a fresh roof and everything's new, but then everything dries and cures. And when it cures, there may be a crack that develops as everything kind of seals and comes together. And there may be a small leak somewhere that needs to be recoated and resealed. So a lot of the times when the tenants move in, they start to point out some of the curing process or some of the settlement of the property post renovation. That's going to happen all the time on like every deal you do. And you're going to get phone calls typically for the first 30 to 60 days of anybody moving into a freshly renovated property. Once you get past that period, you should not be getting much in terms of issues. You will notice things with some property management companies, like they got the $100 fee just for the guy to show up to the property. Like it's just $100 just show up. They didn't even do anything. He just came and looked. Then they start giving you all these upcharges on top of the materials and labor. And they're pulling a lot more than that 10%. Like they're charging you a 10% management fee. But when they factor in all of the other fees and, the maintenance requests, they're making more money. They start milking your deal. And you start not making any money off of your own property if you don't watch closely. So you have to be careful of that. You also need to, this is why I say like learning about real estate is more than just being like concerned about making money. Like when we talk about breaking free from the 9 to 5 and learning about the game and kind of all of these different things. And it's all important. But it's about more than that. It's about having this life skill, because real estate is a life skill. And you need to understand the construction process and how things work, because you always are going to live somewhere. You're always going to have to deal with this in one way or another. So when you see how they're solving the issues, you might not like it if you have knowledge. Like I have knowledge. So if I see, hey, they went back to flush the sewer line 5 times and they're charging like $250, $350 per service. And it's like, yo, what's wrong with the sewer line, bro? Why does it keep backing up? Like at some point, it's cheaper to fix it, right? If they're going to run out there 8 times for the same issue, then the question becomes, well, why don't they just solve it? Why don't they just open it up and solve it? Because they don't care. They're in the milk and fees business. They don't care. So you have to watch out for that. You also need to keep an eye on your property. Some people become complacent with property management. You still want to do quarterly inspections. You still want to see your property. Manage the manager. So ask them, hey, can you show up and just shoot a quarterly inspection video. I just want to see how the property looks. Because I had a property where a management company sent in a contractor. We're going to put in a new HVAC system. Everything's going to be great. They put in a new HVAC system, cut the ductwork into the walls, left the effing walls open. I mean, they put the ductwork in. There were still holes in the wall. Then dust started getting out, lead dust everywhere. Like, and then the property gets a lead violation. And we go in, and the city inspector's like, what's going on here? And we're like, what you talking about? There's holes in the wall. Literally, like, just holes in the wall. And we're like, no way. And it was the property management. They missed it. Oh, the contractor was supposed to close up the walls after the work, but they didn't check. And we didn't check because we were dependent on them. Don't depend on them. Seeing is believing. Expect what you inspect is what they would say in the military. Expect what you inspect. So always inspect behind your property managers. There's more to this game. There's more to this property management thing. Those are some things that can help you guys. So avoid getting burned. When shopping around with lenders, do we have to allow each lender to run our credit? I force them to do a soft pull, or I do the soft pull myself, and then I send it to them. I'll pull off of Experian.com, or making sure I'm pulling like my FICO, and I'll send them that. Make them make a decision based on that, and then kind of work backwards from there. Said, please add it to the 100 keys, the offshore LLCs info. I think I am. I think I'm going to just pull, like, I do so many of these lives for you guys, but I do want to add that offshore LLC game in there, because it's like the most high level game for how to protect your assets. Protecting your assets is a big key. You don't want to work super hard to get these assets and then lose them because they weren't protected. So you definitely want to set up your offshore LLCs. These things don't cost as much as you think. And that could be the what we call the Donnie difference between you keeping your assets or losing them. Because here's how dirty the offshore game is. It's like, if you want to sue me, not me, but my offshore LLC, one, you're going to have a hell of a time even trying to figure out I own it. But let's say you try to sue it. You got to hire an attorney who is licensed to even file that lawsuit in that district. That's going to run you about $25,000 just to hire them for the retainer, because they can charge whatever they want. There are no U.S. attorneys licensed to do business there. So none of your attorneys work. Then to file the lawsuit, you have to put down a non-refundable $125,000 deposit. And then you have to prove, the burden of proof is like a murder case. Like, you got to prove beyond, a reasonable doubt. So it's like crazy, like the burden to even start the case. So there's like levels to it. So you're talking about, on your average lawsuit, like somebody's gonna be $150,000 into just attempting. And in some places like the Cook Islands, like if you set up a trust, an offshore trust or something, Cook Islands trusts have like never been cracked. Not like never in the history of man have never been cracked. So some of these things just can't be broken. So once you get them established and set up, you're kind of just doing your thing. You're kind of just knocking it out. Guys, if you got value so far, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe, share the content with somebody who can get value. We're dropping a lot of value on this. I might take this whole live and just clip it out and get this information in front of some people, because there's a lot of value on this thing. Good questions, but there's a lot of value. V said, your knowledge is invaluable. It's wild. Guys, please take this in and tap into the mentorship. Yeah, just tap into the mentorship. So many people are so worried about the mentorship because I think we think about the wrong thing. Like, yes, there's a cost to mentorship. There's no free, I won't say that. There is free mentorship out there. You don't want it. Trust me. Because even that ain't free. If somebody gives you bad advice, it ain't free. Even if they gave it to you for free, when you go to implement it and get beat over the head, you'll wish you paid for like the real thing. But a lot of us are too short-term focused. Some people will come to me and they're like, well, how quickly can I get me investment back. And it's like, well, you can get it back fast, but that's on you. That's on, if you will go out and implement what I'm telling you, you'll get it back faster. But this knowledge is for life, and this knowledge will help you in so many ways. You can't even imagine it yet. You can't even see it. You're not even at a level where you can see how valuable a lot of this stuff is. So you just need to tap in and get educated, because I don't even know how far some of you guys can go with this knowledge. I am not the limit. Let me say that for starters. I am not the limit. 300 deals in a decade is not the limit. It's not, guys. Somebody will inevitably take this knowledge and run it up 1,000 deals if they want to, or run it up 1,000 units. And I'm fine with that. I'll cheerlead from the sideline, right? Because it will be in part due to the knowledge that you've gotten and the mistakes that you were able to avoid. My mistakes, my millions of dollars of losses that you were able to profit from. And that's why I'm here. But it's up to you to take advantage of it and to not listen to excuses, fear, thinking that some people think there's like, oh, there's got to be a cheaper program out there. There's not, guys. I know all these guys. I promise you. I know every talking head you've seen on Bigger Pockets, everywhere. I know all these guys, and I know what they charge. And they charge a lot. They charge a lot for a lot less. And they don't work with you one-on-one. That's the news flash. They won't work with you one-on-one. You'll never talk to them on the phone. You'll never connect with them. They don't even do these type of live sessions weekly. They don't do any of it. And you're not going to get value, therefore. You're just going to get another course and more disgruntled. But you have to take that leap of faith, but you have to do it for the right reasons. Some people come in and they're just like ready to go. Some people are like, oh, I got to pray on it, sleep on it. Then they talk themselves out of it. And then it's like you wake up and you're still in the rat race. You're still thugging it out, getting older. And it's a waste of time. Or you're listening to the news about real estate. Real estate's going up, man. Prices keep going up. Rents keep going up. Cash flow keep going up. Rates are going to go back down. And you'll still be on the sideline until you decide not to. And it's not because cash or credit. It's not because there's no good deals or you don't know the secret source or people are hiding the information from you. And it's not because you can't get the knowledge. It's because you don't have the knowledge. It's because you haven't learned how to invest without cash and credit. And you haven't learned how to tap into deal flow abundance. But these are all things that you can solve. There are very clear solutions for these things. They're not insurmountable problems. And many of you have spent more money on much dumber things than getting real estate knowledge that'll help you and your family for the rest of your life. Some of you have spent much more money on vacations that don't matter than you ever would on mentorship that will stay with you for the rest of your life. So you got to tap in, and it's a bet on you, not me. Most people come to me and they're like, well, I know Brian can help me. It's obvious, right? But it's a bet on you that you will take the knowledge and go. And I think that that's truthfully why a lot of people who don't sign up for mentorship don't. It's because they don't believe in themselves. They really don't. And they're like, if I tap into mentorship, I'm really going to have to do this. I can't just sit around and talk about it and pretend. I got to really go out and do this. And I get it. Like this is the other wrinkle I don't talk about enough is there's a fear of time. Like we're all, as we get older, we get more demands. It's kids. There's the 9 to 5. There's bills. There's family. There's drama. There's entertainment, distractions, smartphones, Instagram, internet. Like there's all this stuff. And you feel like you don't have any time. You look at your day and you're like, well, if I'm going to go at real estate, how much time is this going to take from me? How much time do I have to put in? I get that question more than even fear. I get, well, Brian, how much time am I going to have to put in? There's like this concern, like, oh my God, am I going to have to dedicate myself to it? And maybe that fear is because people will look at me and be like, man, it seems like all this dude does is God family real estate. Like that's all this guy does. And there's a fear of that you will have to become somebody different in order to achieve what you want to achieve. But the truth is, you could do 20, 30 minutes a day and be knocking it out of the park. You don't need to get even close to how, how dedicated I've become to the real estate. You don't even have to do that to hit your goals. You can hit your goals in 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. The time that you take to surf a couple of YouTube videos, quite frankly, not even like what you probably do in a day. Most of you probably banging YouTube for 5 hours a day. If you cut that in half, you would have 30 houses. And then you're going to free up so much time from getting your life back. So people are afraid to put the time in, but they're not thinking about the time they will get from the real estate. When you get more passive income, you don't have to work as much on a 9 to 5. You can make your own schedule. You could take a nap every day if you wanted to. You could work around whatever your optimal zone is. Maybe you like to wake up really early, nap midday, get back up, crush it again. Whatever your zone is, whatever your flow is, you can now redesign your life. And when you do that, you're going to win. You're going to become more productive. So you're going to get more value out of your time. So you just got to stay locked in, man. You guys just have to stay super locked in on this thing. And, do yourself a favor and tap in. Tap into knowledge, tap into mentorship, and then go out and get experience in this game. The sooner you get the experience, you'll hit critical mass, and then you'll get to the next level. But if you sit on the sidelines or trying to wait out the market, or I don't know what some of us are waiting for, waiting to feel like we have more time, waiting to feel like we have more money. None of these things will ever happen. You'll never feel ready. Stop waiting to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. You never feel ready in this game. You just got to go for it. Said there are systems for everything. Absolutely. There's systems for everything. There's systems for everything. There's always a path. There's a solution for every problem you can come up with. How do I know? Because I got mentees that are 20 years old that knew nothing about real estate before tapping into mentorship that are out doing creative financing deals. They didn't even know anything. They're out doing creative financing deals. And they're 20. They're talking to people, 3 times their age, and they're negotiating deals with them. And you might be sitting there at 35, like, I don't know if people take me seriously. And I got a 20-year-old who's like, yeah, so this is XYZ company. We're Main Street advisors. I'm here to help you to win. Like, they're just running the scripts. And they're like slam dunking deals because they haven't lived enough life and been told no long enough to believe and know, to believe that they can't. They haven't been told it enough, and life hasn't beat them down enough, try to beat them into that employee mindset enough for them to buy into that. So they'd rather just buy into what I'm saying and what I'm teaching. And then when they go out and implement it and they start getting that feedback from the market where the market's like, yeah, we'll do the deal. Yeah, I'm interested. They're like, whoa, this is real. And that's all they need. That's all they need. This is so true. My fear is that I'm running out of time, though, so I need to go all the way in. I'm trying to get it now, so when I'm older, I can relax. That is what it's about. And that's not a fear that you're running out of time. That's a reality. There is a window of opportunity. It's just like for those of us who have played sports at a young age and were, talented or at certain levels, there's a window of opportunity. And eventually, you're going to age out, and that window is going to close. Now, real estate, you don't need good knees and good joints and anything like that to do real estate. You don't even need cash and credit. Don't even need cash and credit, even though everybody thinks you do. You don't. So with real estate, your window of opportunity is much larger, but this game is getting tougher. If you wait too long, you're going to get priced out on the market. You are going to get wiped out in the market, and you're not going to learn, because it's like you gotta get into this game while it's here. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. You got to get into this game. You got to tap in while it's available to you. Even the cost of my mentorship program is not the same cost as when I started. So when I started, lots of people on the sideline, I'm not sure him and him. The price was lower. Now the price is higher. 2 years from now, a year from now, the price will be higher. So all these barriers keep going up to learn, to get in. It keeps going up, up, up. If my price goes higher because there's too much demand and I'm not here at this level at the price point where most of the people can tap in, if I'm no longer at that price point, do you think there's somebody who's going to replace me? Do you guys realize there's nobody who's going to step in and do it at the price point that I do? These guys aren't even doing one-on-one mentorship for less than $30,000, guys. They're not doing one-on-one mentorship for less than $30,000 right now. My price is nowhere near that. But do you think somebody's going to replace me? Nobody's going to replace me. There's just going to be a gap now. So that window will have closed for however many people it closes for. And that's just part of the game. So while there's a window, you get in and you make it happen. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Ace Deuce just said it, time is irreplaceable. You get more money, you can't get more time. So you invest your money in things that will give you back time. That's what we do. We invest our money in things that give us back time. Real estate gives us back time. Therefore, we invest our money in real estate. That's why it's a good investment for us. Guys, if you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe, share this content, share this video, not even this content, share this one in particular. Even if you haven't shared a live before with some of these people, share this one because there's a lot of game in this one. There's a lot of value in this one that can help some people, especially the people who are struggling with those three things, which is everybody, by the way. I've been asking a lot of people that question. Which one are you struggling with? Cash and credit, knowledge, or just like a deal flow of fear? And they're like, all of the above, man. Like, I'm struggling with all of it. And I'm like, okay, we can solve that. We can solve that. And here's the game. Here's the game plan. Here's the blueprint. Guys, if you want to tap into the free trainings, click the links in the description. If you want to learn more about the mentorship program, click the links in the description. You can tap in and book a call. But Sergeant said, cash and credit. Cash and credit is that number one issue. But then when I solve that for you, then what will you do? Maybe fear will pop up. Then we'll give you a blueprint. We'll give you some more game plan and some more coaching, eliminate the fear. Maybe we'll bring you out on a ride along, take the fear out. Now you just have action. When we remove all of your obstacles, the only thing left is action. And on the end of action and activity is money. That's where the money is. The reason you're not getting to the money is because you can't take action. The reason you can't take action is because you're afraid. The reason you're afraid is because you're afraid of what you don't know. You don't have enough knowledge. So you reverse engineer that. Get the knowledge. Stop being afraid. Have a blueprint. Take action. Get the money. Most people are trying to get to the money, but they're still afraid. They're not. What you need to do is try to get to the knowledge. Stop trying to get to the money. Get to the knowledge. Get to the knowledge. Get rid of the fear. Get to the money. That's the path. There is no shortcutting that path. Because if you have the fear, you can't get to the money. Because you can't take enough action. You can't. It doesn't work. So you have to look at what your issues are. People don't know what their issues are. I know what a lot of our issues are more than you guys do. I know what your issue is, what's holding you back more than you do. And it's not what you think it is. You think it's cash and credit. It's not. Lack of knowledge, lack of systems, lack of time. But also time is a byproduct of how long it takes for you to get it done. So if I could show you how to get real estate results in less time, then you wouldn't have a time problem, would you? You have a time problem because you're inefficient. You don't know what to do. You don't have a game plan. So you're just kind of poking around and then the day is gone. But if I gave you a condensed blueprint and said, do this, 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 and this in 30 minutes a day, boom, now you're off to it. Do this, get these people on the phone, say this, boom, and just keep doing that over and over again. Now you're off to it, and now you're starting to get closer to results. And then you will get to the money, and then the money reinforces what you did to get it. So the action, the activity. Cash and credit is a false sense of safety. Without knowledge, you will lose that. Yeah, cash and credit is not worth more than knowledge. It never will be. It never will be. And it's not in real estate. It's evident. It never will be. Because cash and credit, they're limited. Both of them are limited. No matter how much cash you have, if you kept pouring money into deals, parking capital into deals, you're going to go broke. You're going to run out of it, no matter how much you have. You might have a higher limit than me. If you had $1 million and I had 100,000, you could certainly buy more properties. If we were both buying properties cash, you could buy more properties than me, but you would still run out at some point. Only the knowledge of how to do it better with less cash or without cash at all. Now I'm unlocked because I have knowledge. I don't need cash. I removed the limitation. So now you can become more powerful than somebody with $1 million of purchasing power because you have millions of dollars worth of gain, like this real estate game. So that puts you in a different stratosphere. But I do understand the scarcity mindset when you're doing a paycheck to paycheck thing. Like I do understand. But it should also breed more intensity and like I need to change this. I got to do whatever it takes. Sergeant said, I'm truly not afraid of anything. And that's good. It's good to not be afraid. But even without fear, having that blueprint speeds you up. Having that knowledge speeds you up. Because competition can be out-quicked, essentially. The competition in this game, another way to get ahead of them is to just move faster, to be more efficient. They say the early bird gets the worm, right? The early bird gets the worm. So what that means is whoever's fastest to the deal is going to get the deal. It's usually the person who gets up earlier because they're going to get to it sooner. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the person who has the systems that are faster or more leverage that gets to that deal faster. So you might get up earlier than me. Guess what? I've had guys, this is kind of funny. I had a guy who would get up super early, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., go out, look at deals. He was in Philly. I was in the Bronx, right? I get a call from him or a text at 8:15 in the morning. My guy, my boots on the ground inspector's walking out of the property as he's walking in, and they know each other. And he's like, hey, I just saw your guy. And I was looking at this deal. You guys were already in it. I was in bed. I was rolling out of bed probably. Rolling out of bed. Maybe I was at the gym, right? I'm doing other stuff, but I'm locked in. I'm always available to put out a fire. And I'm always putting out fires, especially at this time. But it just shows you my system was stronger. I was hundreds of miles away, but my system was so fast that it beat him 10 miles to a deal. It beat him. He couldn't believe it. He was like, whoa, you got tentacles like that. Yeah, but that was leverage. So he's burning energy and time. I'm not. I could just be sitting there meditating and deals are happening and things are happening because systems are in motion. That's leverage. And that's what this game is about. And anybody can implement that type of system and leverage. Anybody can if you just learn it and put it into place. Because what you need to learn about leverage is leverage can be cheap. Leverage, all businesses are built on systems that are cheaper to implement than the profits you can make from them. So you might spend $1 for every $12 you make back. That's a profitable business. But you need that system. You know how hard it is to develop that system that can print out even $4 for every one you spend. You know how difficult that is to try to stumble upon and figure out. But it's not difficult to get that blueprint and just execute it, especially if somebody else is already doing it, already proven it, already fine-tuned it, already dealt with the drama, and it's just giving you the straight line. That's very simple. So that's why, it's one of the values of kind of staying tapped into mentorship and just like some of these programs that are out there. But like I tell you guys all the time, the best programs are one-on-one mentorship. It's the best. Being able to actually get your questions answered at a high level versus just staring at a screen and hoping that you can absorb something. Ace 2 said knowledge is the key. I'll take one more question, comment, and then we'll wrap this thing up. When I was at the 9 to 5, a thought that got me out was, what makes their goals and dreams, the owners of this business I work for, more important or valuable than mine? Nothing. Yet I'm working on theirs and not mine. And that was a mindset shift. Yeah. There's a fear there. Well, there's a lack of understanding. Like when I first started working, I was working 100% commission right out of college, 100% commission, which means I wasn't making next to nothing. But I learned how money was made. I didn't have a salary to get brainwashed with, quite frankly. So I started to learn. They said, Brian, well, you know, there's something called the two month delay, right? I said, well, what is that? I said, Brian, you're going to work your tail off. You're going to grind for 2 months and you're not going to make a dime. But then 2 months later, money's going to start coming in and it's going to be from the stuff you did 2 months ago. And then 2 months from then, you're going to get paid from the stuff you're doing now. And I was like, oh. And as I started to do it, I started to understand the energy that I was putting out. It was attracting the money. It was creating the money, even though I couldn't see it. It didn't exist right then and there, but it was in the future. It was paying off the dividends in the future. And I just kept putting in that energy. And I learned, oh, well, even when I started doing the salary thing, I was never addicted to it. I was just like, well, even if I dump this, if I take this energy and put it into my own thing, there's going to be money. How much? I don't know. But probably, I mean, if I was working a job making $50K, I said, well, I could probably do that with 100% of my energy. I'm sure I could do $50K. And what'll shock you guys is with a lot of your 100% energies, you guys could do $250,000 to $500,000 with 100% of your energy and time and working as efficiently as possible. Not complaining like, oh, I'm tired, but actually being able to just go take a power nap, get back up and go back after it and not have anybody telling you what to do or distracting you from what needs to be done. But you do want a straight line path. You do want a blueprint. You do want a blueprint, especially if you haven't done this thing before. Because that's been one of the major keys to my success in anything. It's just running people's systems. First time I made a bunch of money was from a guy that was selling Medicare. I go to learn his system, guy in Philly. I go in his home office, we'll call it. He's got like 5 people there just banging the phone on these leads. These leads, he's got a ton of leads, more leads than he can handle, more leads than anybody can handle. I'm talking, this guy must have had 10,000 leads. I said, look, give me 1,000 leads. I'm a horse. I took those 1,000 leads. I hired a cold caller, gave them the leads. They booked me 100 appointments. I sold 60 people in a couple of months off of those appointments. I ran his system, ran his play, made the most money I had made in my life at that point in time, just running his play. I learned the script, write down a script, cool. Get licensed, cool. Hand off the leads to the assistant, cool. Book the appointments with the script, done. Run the meetings, done. But that was the system. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, guys. You just need to run the play. It's like, hey, you're the running back, I'm the quarterback. We're running sweep left. I don't need you going right. I need you going left. Stay behind the blockers. I'm going to put the ball in your chest. Run that way. Run the play. We might score a touchdown here. Even if we don't, we're going to get 10 yards. If you keep getting 10 yards closer to your goal, you're going to win. And that's the other thing. You guys are always want to get right into the end zone off the first effing play. Like, oh, I tapped into mentorship. It's been a week. It's like, yo, Can you recognize that you're 10 yards further ahead? Or does that only compute to you in football? Can you recognize that within yourself, that you are closer to your goal, that you are a different person, that you're evolving? Do you understand the power of that? Do you understand the compounding return of that? If you don't, you can only hurt yourself by not understanding the compounding return on your own education and your own evolution. You're hurting yourself. Some of us are too hard on ourselves. If we're not like exactly where we want to be right now, we're like, I'm nowhere. And that's not true. You're getting further. You have to recognize the small incremental changes as well. But guys, hope this helps, man. I don't want to rant forever, but I hope this helps. We'll drop some more game for you guys. I'm definitely going to add that to the 100 Keys Masterclass. If you got value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this content with somebody who you think will get value. And I'll see you guys on the next one. If you want to tap into mentorship, click the links in the description. You can tap in. We have the ride along coming up January 13th. So if you want to tap into the next real estate ride along, make sure you reach out, tap into that. We only have, I think, less than 10 seats available. So make sure you reach out about that. And the Boots on the Ground program is running strong. There's a lot of cash flow in the market. Rents are up. So if you're looking to get a rental property, you've been struggling, make sure you tap into the Boots on the Ground program. I think we have just one spot available right now because somebody just wrapped up a deal. Maybe we might have two, but I think just one. So if anybody wants to tap into the Boots on the Ground, reach out. I know a couple of you have been, hey, Brian, I'm stacking up and getting my money together, all that stuff, but reach out. There's going to be some good opportunities. I'm seeing deals come back on market. I'm seeing price drops. I'm seeing all types of stuff. So it's a good time to jump in and get some cash flow. Brian Grimes, Real Estate Mentor, signing off. Appreciate you guys.